Hello. How's everyone doing? It's a Sunday. Like, if I got pillow head hairs, whatever. Gotta be in your own Zen space. This morning I woke up and I was just like, yo, I'm in the mood to channel Ganesha. So if you don't know anything about Ganesha, Ganesha is this being of, usually people pray to Ganesha if you're a student, if you're looking for like success in like knowledgeable affairs, if you need to like graduate a test, if you need like courage, if you need like clarity in something. Ganesha's the guy that I literally go to. Like when I was all in college, literally in my living room, I had a tapestry of Ganesha on my ceiling. It was huge, it was massive. And I never really knew anything about Ganesha back then, other than the fact that like he was a Hindu god. And it was years after that I found out, oh, well, no duh. When I started college, this tapestry called me, and it was like always around my like studying space. No wonder why, because he's a god of the students, right? So he helps people. Ganesha is one of the very few Hindu gods that has a different style of head than the other ones. The other ones have a like humanistic kind of head, and it's because he at some point got in a fight and his head got cut off, and then his mom, being Shakti or Parvati, really freaked out and was like, oh my god, my baby, and she was like, I need the first available head to show up right now so that my baby is safe and sound. So then the first head that ended up being available was a elephant's head. So then that became his new face, and it's also a sign of his power, that he's been able to transcend death, and that he's just like knowledgeable on these aspects. So I'm just going on Patreon right now to see the thread of questions that were asked before I get in the zone. For all of you that are going to be a part of this, like, it's really important to be present in the moment. So don't be like multitasking while you're doing this. Like, allow yourself to just be completely invested in it, or view this when you can have a time to be completely invested in it, because time and space is an illusion. But like, it throws off the vibe if you're trying to like multitask and still listen, you know what I mean? And then don't forget to subscribe, comment, give this a like. And if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, the description is going to be in the portion below. Check out the link. So we have a question that says, what's the importance of relationships even to a fully enlightened being? Ooh, that one's good. How is the statement, in each other we find ourselves, true? Okay. Don't we find ourselves in ourselves? Okay. Then somebody else said, yes, please. Rudy's first question was along the lines of what I want to ask. What Rudy and Hubert said, plus anything else to inspire and enlighten us what we need to hear. Okay. And then Hubert asked, what mantra would Ganesha offer to further assist the ascension of Onto High Collective and aid the, and what's the importance of relationships even to a fully enlightened being? How is that statement, in each other we find ourselves, true? Okay. All right. Everyone get in the mode. Ooh, it's going to come, and it's going to come hard. Relax. Allow your third eyes to open. Allow your crown chakras to open. If you don't know how to do that instantaneously, set the intention like you're pressing an app on your phone. Crown chakra open. Oops. Set it, forget it. Good. Relax into your bodies. Let go of any tension, of any anticipation. Just sit in the presence of Ganesha. Release any tension that you feel in your body. Let go of your woes and your heartaches. And just for this instance, while remaining in my presence, you will be free. Taking a deep breath. In the mantra, in each other's, we find ourselves. This is to highlight the similarity in the characteristics of all human beings and all starseed creatures that exist. There is a unity in experiences that we each share under a different guise or skin. We have all experienced love, fear, pain, happiness, liveliness, and full despair and drainage. To understand the whole and perception, ultimately whole and the same, with one conclusion. For the answers of all life are the simplistic ones. It is not in the division of understanding the many, but in understanding the one. The one is not always known as similarity, as similarity forces the impression on the mind that two separate elements must come together, being forced into one. Commonalities is something that the mind interprets as representable, relatable, understandable, same yet slightly different. And in that we understand the true power of perception. In ourselves, we do find ourselves. We understand the mechanics and the inner workings of our internal realms that create our personalized external realms. It is only when we come to understand others and we rediscover ourselves that we learn about the complexities that lie underneath our original perception. For your subconscious, higher conscious perception is still being seen consciously. That is to say that there is a greater unknown than just the esoterica in which humanity has chosen to explore today. The true power lies on that other side. Understanding that there is a plethora of the unknown even within ourselves. And through the discovery of others, we expand into that unknown. That is a peace that many seek, yet fail to comprehend. That is a dream that seems long forgotten and fable in its truth. In ourselves, we discover the potentialities that can explore new worlds within others. Understand that all vibration is best understood through separation with commonality. It is taking slow and steady steps that get us to our goal. Ascension is often perceived as hard escalations, when we each have our own pace. Pace is not just the effort in which you apply towards your own ascension, for that should be steady and ever increasing. Pace must be understood in the flow in which you allow your higher consciousness to understand that it is never fully the consciousness at large perceiving itself. For we are an expansive mystery, just as the cosmos without. In this power of non-knowledge of self, one understands a greater value, a greater secret that those in the Akashic records and who can read the Akashic records can access. We are one with an ever-expansive unknown. The unknown will set you free, and discovery of the unknown within others will always create the illusion of familiarity and the known, in which we can co-create and create higher infinities. Understand that there is no separation between you and another, for both are unknown, both are experiencing illusion, both will always be out of complete illusion due to your lack of understanding of the consciousness at large. This is a torment and yet a gift, something that forces you to explore and to grow, and to understand that alchemy exists in every layer of every material aspect and every material concept that's been materialized within your consciousness. To not explore those other avenues is sheer ignorance of the greater knowledge that is known as Antohai. For we the masters speak this language, and we give you the understanding of achieving the high. This is all for now for this portion of this question. We will give this vessel a break. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I don't know if I went into that and it was quiet. My phone says it's loading something. I don't really know. I'm gonna just keep going with it because there's a clock on. Okay, awesome. Sweet. Thank you. I totally forgot what he said. Oh, something about galaxies and expansion. And yeah, just being like, understanding that like everything's alchemy, so you'd basically be super ignorant if you didn't understand that like if you can talk to the tree and the tree can give you a lesson, like why wouldn't another person not be able to give you a lesson? Because ultimately both of them are manifestations of alchemy based off of anything that's being created, not only in your internal alchemy, but other intelligent infinities that are like colliding with each other to create like this greater reality, which he showed me like the flower of life as he was like saying that, and I was just like, oh, I was like, okay, that's pretty wise, like. And it's not about finding similarities, because as he says, like finding a similarity makes it sound more limited in the terminology of saying like there are commonalities, like there are things that we share common truths over or common experiences over, and that's easier for like the human mind to grasp and perceive and use for their own growth. So that one was like pretty cool. And then when he said something about Antahai, like basically like Antahai is just understanding vibration is everywhere. Vibration is everything. Information is vibration, and like all forms of vibration, regardless of it being light or it being like sound or it being an emotion or it being like the experience of your dog, it's all like an alchemic thing, like it's a formula, and you may not always understand the formula behind it, but when you actually put yourself in that position of just being able to comprehend that's what's happening constantly, and like you can grab information from everything, you can then start training your consciousness to expand beyond space and time, and you step into the infinite, and you can do like really crazy stuff because you're no longer limited to like this baseline reality that's telling you like what you get, what you see is what you get, right? Like what you see is only face value, you know what I mean? And you get a lot more if you dive into the user's manual, you know? What is the importance of a relationship even to the fully enlightened being? Okay, everyone take another deep breath. A relationship for any being is for self-exploration. Many on earth find union so that they can complete themselves in all realities, in multiple realities. Any relationship is a self-exploration. For each individual triggers a different response, a different level of intimacy that allows you to rediscover yourself while discovering another. Here again, we come back to the mantra that we once spoke about. There are different levels. Hold on. Give me a second. My dog is freaking out, and I can hear him freaking out. Okay. When we discover each other, we discover ourselves. The purpose of any enlightened being is to learn how to utilize these different aspects of self, whether in the light or in the shadow, to expand their own consciousness while expanding another's. Here again we find commonalities. For every person we have loved, every being we have loved, has taught us a different aspect of our shadow and the possibility of an emotion that we may have not felt with another. This vibration allows you to see higher scopes of possibility. It is like a gradient of different colors and giving you the taste of every shade. Take a deep breath. And he's like, what else would you like me to say about this? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I mean, I felt like that would be a lot deeper than what you just said. It's not important the complexity of the statement, rather the message behind the intended directive. Okay. It's basically saying like, why do I have to talk a lot if I can just get to the point? What is the importance of a relationship even to a fully enlightened being? So like, what's another thing that we can ask about that to like dive deeper? What are your views on monogamy? What would the astral say about monogamy from your perspective? Monogamy doesn't exist only but to the linear mind. It's not to say that there is an issue with this, but it is not an end-all possibility that is absolutely required to understand the greater scope of love. For there is no division in love, nor is there division of self or one's way of consciousness. It is what we each choose to create that allows us to experience a resonance that keeps us comfortable. With each experience that helps us stay within a certain vibration, it also has its traps of limiting you to that vibration. So it is not required to be monogamous or polyamorous. For being by self is also capable of great feats. Understanding the model of creation that suits your needs, that does not keep you limited, is key. The fulfillment of love and expansion is key. As we all find happiness in what we will be. Okay. What mantra would you offer us for further assistance during the ascension process? Deep breath. There is no mantra other than the present moment. The vibration in which we experience this now. Deep breath. For a second there, I was like, are you gonna say anything? Like, you haven't said anything. And he didn't even say anything to me. And I'm like, and I was like, maybe, I even thought to myself, maybe there's not anything that we're supposed to know right now, or there isn't a mantra. And I thought that to myself. And then shortly after he speaks and he's like, there is no mantra other than like being here. It's a vibration. Like, you need to be like, almost like saying like you need to learn how to stay in whatever you're feeling right now. And like, it's almost like I saw the unknown too. Somebody else felt it too. Somebody else got the same answer. Yeah, it also felt like the unknown. Like in the silence when I was like, it was like I was floating. I was like, what? Yeah, the crickets are nice. They're really zen. Anything to inspire and enlighten us on what we need to do. Continue as you are, my brothers and sisters. You have great knowledge that just must be enacted on. Many of you may feel lost in this moment. Your hearts are in pain as you feel like you have much love to give, but it falls upon a deaf society. A visionless culture. Mute in its own expansion. Take a deep breath. Your hearts are not forgotten. They are still finding their voice as they are shy. In this sense, you have not embodied your full potential. Your heartache is the illusion of understanding a reality that states you have resistance and difficulty within your creation. For you have come to this earth to awaken. Those who understand this message must understand that the resistance has only been agreed upon due to your consciousness, due to the circumstances of not knowing more than what was needed to know. But now you are awake, and what do you do with this knowledge? Awareness of the people of the stars, awareness of alchemy, awareness of higher senses. And yet the world of matter entrenches some of you like quicksand. It takes you and consumes you. What purpose is having knowledge if you do nothing with it? Some of you feel powerless within your own bodies, and this causes you to have fear to act. This is the greatest inauthentic action that one can proceed to do to oneself. If your heart mourns for the collective, for the state of the world, find nirvana, find samadhi, a detachment from suffering, a detachment of expectations. For when you find yourself within the unconsciousness, you will be able to see a greater truth. A truth that states you can redirect the statements of the world, the laws of the world, with ease, simply with desire. And that the monster that once was seen as your greater power is an angel or a river that travels across the sky. Many of you are comfortable and you focus on the matter of the situation. Is what has created the matter. And the energy has been generated from the unknown. And it is those who continuously participate in the known that will remain manifesting the known. The greatest disservice to your kind in this present time is familiarizing yourself with the known and not exploring the unknown with the same level of confidence and comfort. When you understand that the keys to all realities exist beyond the known, into the unknown of self, the unknown of all creation, you will understand the objective of the gods, how to create one world and replace it with the next, how to change one perception into another thought. The greatest experience of New Earth is the vibration in which you choose not only your body to exist in, but the mind. For the mind instricts. He says instricts. I don't think that's a word though. It stricts. He wants to say it basically like enslaves. It like forces your mind into a position of creating laws that are limiting. So you create a sub-reality you create a sub-reality based off of like the reality that you're familiar with. So like everything that is known to us is essentially like the greatest illusion itself. Because in order for you to really like become the ultimate alchemist, you would be having to allow yourself to step into the unknown completely and feel just as comfortable stepping into the unknown as you are with like known attributes of this realm. And then you would be able to see the bigger picture of everything that there is. But like we're trained to like be totally comfortable with this aspect of reality and not to like really dive deeper for whatever reason. And then that's the greatest disservice. And like we don't even see the fact that like we feel so limited because we're in a physical body, but we don't understand how like vastly powerful we are. Because if there's so much unknown in our conscious realm of reality, right? And if there's the unconscious realm, like there's a portion in our own consciousness of fathoming the realities around us that comes to like a conclusion, right? And until your brain gets blown some other way, you open and expand that. So like remember, like every limit, every edge of every reality that you can even fathom, that's like just like this much of a bigger truth. And all this extra stuff is literally, it's the unknown, but it's literally all the power. Like we've been handed like even structures of the dynamics of the cosmos that don't necessarily justify everything that we're experiencing at one given moment. And then that's just another thing he showed me. He said like, you know, if we look at a menu like of 100 different like objectives of realities that like they're all a setting, right? Like every day, every like couple hours, we switch one setting to another setting to another setting to another setting. So like stating even that like one perception of reality is like the finite perception of reality, because that's what we can perceive, is literally being ignorant. Like you need to understand that that's only like a little small portion of something way bigger. And if that's the potential on the outside, right, and that's still the potential of us consciously talking about it, you still have that potential internally. So do you really ever know yourself? And do you even know what you're physically capable of? Because you think that you're in this physical body and like you don't have the potential to like expand beyond like certain limits within yourself. Then that's a construct of reality that was handed to you that you're conscious of. And there's the other enslavement, as above, so below. Crazy. Like the diagrams that he showed me were so powerful. And it, like you can tell like when he talks about it, he's not talking like, because even listening to it, it's like, whoa, like I've never even thought about it that way myself. Like, and it kind of feels like it does. It feels fanciful. It feels like, no way. But then you're just like, no, he wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't true, you know? Like, it's just, you really got to like absorb that and live with that and push that forward, and you get to where you're looking to get to. Like, crazy sauce. And then he also showed me too, like, when he was talking about, like, a lot of you have, like, you feel heartache. Like, there's a lot of light workers out there that they feel like the world's going to shit, and like, should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? Should I, you know, should I get a vaccine? Should I not get a vaccine? Should I stay home? Should I not stay home? And like, you know, like to save the children or focus on like the state of the affairs of the world. Like, you need to understand that all of it's an illusion. Like, a lot of you want to save people and you can't save anybody. You guys just save yourself. Like, and all you can do is by saving yourself and maintaining your vibration, you give the other people who come awake the opportunity to like get closer to you, and then be able to say like, hey, I recognize you're awake. Can you like help me stay awake too? Right? And like, that's where your calling is. Your calling is not to say like, hey, you're asleep, wake up, wake up. Like, not everyone's meant to wake up in this lifetime. And that's something that a lot of people struggle to accept. And like, that has to do with karma, that has to do with their own just development in this lifetime, that has to do with like the contracts that they signed when they decided to come into the game, like, well, into the hologram, not the game. You have to be able to say, like, you are where you're at right now because you're supposed to be where you're at, because you orchestrated and everything was organized for this moment, and that you are only responsible of yourself. And having this knowledge and using it to, like, change your internal reality, which then forces the external reality to change. That's what you're responsible of. You're not responsible of actually trying to change anybody else's mind or drilling into them that, like, they have to, like, evolve or nothing like that. Like, you're just there to be a living embodiment of the understanding of what is capable for other people to achieve, should they choose to walk in that direction. Like, you're literally the living embodiment of the knowledge. So, like, by you just embracing that and living your life like that, you really open up the doors to physically change the world. And it's not as hard as you would have thought, because a lot of people, they get disillusioned because you're like, I'm supposed to be changing the world, but how do I do it, right? Like, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be changing the internal dimension of yourself, and that's going to co-create with everybody else who's doing that same thing, and you'll find a commonality, like he says, and then the world will shift. It's like the flower of life. Like, those gaps have to meet each other. But in a way, like Dolores Cannon, like, I watched this video of Dolores Cannon earlier today, where she's talking about, like, people just don't really recognize that, you know, when you're going, like, the ascension process is not supposed to be for everybody. Like, some people are not supposed to ascend for a lot of different reasons. And, like, she just went on this tangent about it, and it was just like, whoa, like, she knew this, like, in the 80s and 90s, you know what I mean? And that's been happening for a while. So, like, we find so much more peace and recognizing that, like, we're available in our vibration, but we're not necessarily responsible for any other vibration other than our own. And, like, that's why you're being forced to look at aspects about your shadow self, and, like, cleaning out, like, your friends list, and being more accountable for yourself, because, like, it's a totally different vibration of existence. And when you shift into that vibration, you literally see your life, like, morph. Like, it's crazy. And if you're not experiencing fifth dimensional Earth yet, like, you will get there if you just keep focusing on, especially the things that Ganesha talks about. Because it really is kind of like a totally, like, you feel everybody else's vibration, but you're not on the same wavelength where you're getting affected like that. You're existing in your own universe with other people who are on that same wavelength, and you're on a parallel dimension from, like, everybody else who just doesn't vibe there. With enough time, it's going to separate, and then those people are going to still be here, but they're pretty much not going to be perceivable and back and forth. So you have to understand that, okay, things are going to change ever so slightly, so that you're accommodated, so it's like an easy transition. Like, a lot of people freak out about, like, losing, like, their loved ones and stuff like that, but, like, we don't really know the dynamics of how that would work. We don't know that if, you know, your kids are with you and them just being in your presence, they're naturally shifting all the time anyway. You know, like, we do know that energy affects each other in that fashion, but, like, embracing the unknown of possibilities allows you to actually find peace. And I'm, like, feeling it right now. It's, like, really weird. It's like this expansion of consciousness. It's just like, okay, you know, you just get it. Like, it's just there. Because there's so much that could happen that's your greatest ally. Like, you're not stuck to a linear reality and linear results. And it doesn't have to play out the way that you're fathoming it in your conscious mind. So, pretty cool stuff. Sorry, I had a fly on my tongue. Those were all the questions that I had on Patreon. I hope that this was really helpful for you guys. That's been my whole life. Wow, I just came to a deep personal understanding, and now and know my purpose 100. Whoa. Yeah. Good. I'm glad that you were able to find that. That was a hard truth for me to swallow. My pleasure. Thank you. When I first had to like understand that I couldn't save anybody, anyone, that's like been the hardest thing ever. And you're gonna forget about it as you go on your path every once in a while. Like there'll be something inside of you that you're just like, man, there's gotta be something that I can do to shake the consciousness. But you gotta be like, no, like, as I stay focused on this path, like you'll see things just change. And then you realize that like, whoa, like as shitty as it is that you have to watch other people just like stumble, that's just life, like literally. And all you can do is be there and be ready for when they're ready to like step out of that limited reality. Like you're technically at this point like an ascension guide, like you're stepping into that ascension energy. You're like an angel, like you're literally an earth angel. And that's what they would be called, like what else would you call that? Like you're still available, you're on this higher frequency. And when someone's like, hey, like I've been having these dreams about whatever, the cosmos, hanging out with aliens, I'm looking for a tarot card reading, like I think I want to step into shamanism, like whatever, you're just there and you're like, okay, come here, I got you, and like you can like quench that thirst a little bit, you know what I mean? Not everybody's gonna stick with it because some people are gonna be like, oh, I better go back to sleep, right? But some people are gonna taste it and be like, whoa, and they may go on their own journey and experience a bunch of different kinds of like esoteric knowledge because we're the library, right? Like we're the Akashic records. And it's like a very powerful concept to like have, and it's like always honor and try to always like never lose track of it, because that's when you're going to notice that on your path you're experiencing stress, like when you take on the burden of others instead of just like letting them have their experience. And then also like another way we take other people's burdens is by taking the vulnerability of the trauma that comes from having experiences with other people. Like sometimes we want to blame someone and we can't really blame that person because their level of consciousness at the time of them enacting whatever it is that they were doing to you that made you feel vulnerable or victimized was created from a limited reality. So like if you can see farther than like, let's say some of the shit that your mom did to you or like your uncle did to you or whatever, like an old friend, if you can see beyond that today, like you have to use that as a way to like find nirvana or samadhi and detach from suffering, understanding that that person created a personalized reality and they could only act within, the barriers of that reality. And if you're beyond that, that's another greater unknown to them. And that's an unknown that you explored and expanded into. So imagine what an even greater unknown means at the greater scope of your reality. So it's like very powerful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, give this a like if you liked it. And yeah. Share this with your friends. I will be catching you later.